Okay, Mark, this is James Parker, and I thank you for coming in and seeing me for your evaluation. This is just a quick little recap, just to briefly go over the things that we talked about. So setup-wise, you didn't like your setup, when we initially got you on camera, but I actually quite liked it. Right, you got a nice bit of curve in your spine. The one thing that we spoke a little bit about was how your hands are maybe just a fraction too far away from your body, right? So maybe get your hands a bit closer to your body. Make sure you've got some pressure under your armpits against the side of your body. And then as we start swinging from the down the line view, you can see as you start moving how your hands are moving back pretty straight. And then when you get to P2, club head's a little bit outside your hands, which I don't mind, but the big issue I've got there is where your left arm is, right? Your left arm's not inward enough. I think probably the best example to illustrate that, now I'm not saying move your hands inward as much as this, but this was PGA Tour player Charlie Wee, right? Hands moving inward, arms move inward. Okay. And then as you get up to the halfway back, decent position there. Still a little bit high. You can see how the club and your hands are maybe going through the middle of your right bicep. His club and his hands maybe go through the base of his bicep. And then up to the top. Right, so you do a lot of things really well. I mean, right leg straightens a bit, left leg flexes, which is what we want. You've got a nice tucked arm position, left arm's in a nice position. So you've got a lot of really good things going on. But as we start to come down, just a little over the top, look, you see how the club and your hands and the club are maybe coming through your right shoulder now, over the top of the red plane line, whereas you can see Charlie's hands start to come down that red line. Shaft and his hands are kind of coming through his right bicep. So just a little bit more underneath, right? And then as he comes down, you see the club perfectly through between those two red lines. Club head at P6 is between the two red lines, coming into the ball between the two red lines, right? And then just before impact, you can see the club head attacking the ball just fractionally from the inside. What you're doing is a little bit over the top. Club head is outside your hands at P6, right? So we want it behind your hands at P6, right? Just there. And then you can see coming down just a little bit across the ball, right? Also at impact, not turned out the way enough, right? So it looks like shoulders are pretty square, hips are pretty square. Where you see the pros is their shoulders are out the way, their hips are out the way, right? Open, turns have opened. And then as we come through, kind of I'm watching you try and get the club head around, which you do. You see the club head starts to appear underneath your left shoulder, right? And I can see how you've kind of flipped it there with your hands, look, to try and get it back. But the issue I've got here is that your right arm's out here. What I want to see post impact is that right arm, a bit of pressure under your right armpit to keep your right arm moving inwards this way. So your left arm moves inward on the backswing, your right arm moves inward post impact there, so that the club and your hands start to appear underneath your left shoulder. So your club head starts to appear under your left shoulder, but then you can see how your hands and the shaft a bit too high, a bit too much through your left shoulder, right? So the thing that we worked on the most was your path, right? So let me just show you the difference in the swing where we changed your path. So this was your swing a little bit more towards the end of the session, right? So a little bit better posture. Arms are a little bit close to your body, look. Much better takeaway. Hands look a bit deeper. And yeah, that's closer, isn't it? You see how you're getting the club head back down on that red line. So look how the club head now is following the red line, coming down into impact, and you actually come down and attack it from the inside there, look. So that's better. The only issue is we still haven't opened our turns, so your right foot's still very much on the ground there, and we haven't cleared our hips or our shoulders. So it's kind of a skew-if follow through where the shaft comes out through your neck. We still want the shaft coming out underneath your left shoulder, right? So we still need to turn hard. So how did we do that? Well, what we did was we moved your ball. Now this was your swing at the start of the session, right? This was your swing at the start of the session. So when we look at it from face on, we said, right, well, if you're trying to hit a putt, you know, don't forget the ball flight that we're working with is a fade, and we know from the down the line view that you're coming across it a little bit. So, you know, if we want to work on hitting the ball more from the inside, and we want to start pushing it and push drawing it, that ball position is way too far forward. We want to work towards that eventually. But if we want to push it, we want to push draw it, we need the ball position moved back. And you can see that one here, how the ball's in line with the stick, and the stick's more sort of central, or even a little close to your back foot, right? But then we spoke about your backswing from face on, and we said, well, you know, you got a lot of good stuff going on. You know, the back bends backwards, right? So this angle is pretty much up and down. You've straightened your right leg, you flex your left, your right hip looks a little bit above your left. So you got a lot of good stuff going on, a lot of good stuff. Then as you come down, a little bit of movement with the head, right? Getting that head forward a little bit. That's definitely going to contribute to you coming down over the top a bit, right? And you also notice how that right arm kind of stays on top of your left one a little bit there. Right, so we'd work on, you know, in future sessions we're going to work on keeping that head more centered. Getting that right arm a little bit more underneath. Getting that right arm a little bit more underneath your left arm as you start down there. Right. But great movement onto your left leg. Good movement with the hips, moving the hips forward. Getting the weight forward. Good squat onto your left foot there, like that. And then good finish. Right, so even though you're not turning enough at impact, right, you've kind of got the right idea of where we go in and how we need to finish. It's just we need to, the in-between bit, we need to turn a little bit harder. Right, so in future sessions, right arm a bit more underneath your left one. Keeping the head more centered instead of getting the head moving past that green line, look. Keeping the head more steady. And then making sure we're turning harder through impact. Good. Any questions, mate? Just shoot me over an email. Thanks, Mark.